the 2016 NFL Draft, best known for the top two picks, because both the Rams and the Eagles, they traded up at 1 and 2 to grab Jared Goff and Carson Wentz. Not looking great right now, but I don't know, maybe in some different reality, if they go to different teams, maybe the year 2020, the season of 2020 looks a little bit differently. And that's what we're here to do here. We're going to do a 2016 redraft. We're going to go back, take a look at, well, these NFL teams, their roster at the time, what was going on, and we're going to redo it. Keep in mind, I'm using the of-day draft order, so no during the draft trades. This is the order going into the draft before the first overall pick. And what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. It really helps the channel a ton. So go ahead and do that. It would make me very, very happy. This took a lot of work because there's no simulator that I could find for the 2016 draft. So I had to make my own overlay. I had to go and take a look at all these prospects. And if I miss anybody, let me know. I'm sure you'll let me know in the comment section below regardless. So I'm going to give it my best shot. So here we go. With the first overall pick, the Rams select Dak Prescott out of Mississippi State. The Rams, they moved from 15 to 1. Best believe they're getting a quarterback. This is their first year in Los Angeles. So we're going to go with Dak, who's actually been the better of really the big three quarterbacks that came out of this draft. And then the Philadelphia Eagles, they traded up to this pick. So best believe they want a quarterback. They also have big needs at receiver and cornerback. But I decided to go for quarterback. You're not trading up this far and giving it up what they gave to get any other position. Mark Sanchez, going into the season, was the projected starter before they shipped him off to Denver, like literally a month before the season. Jared Goff, he's ideal for kind of the West Coast offense that we're running at the time. So I think Jared Goff, he's been to a Super Bowl. You surround him with talent, he could get you there. We're going to stick with Goff with this pick. Just kind of like they traded up solely for a quarterback. I'm going to try to keep with that mindset. San Diego Chargers, yes, they're still in San Diego. They go Joey Bosa. He's been such a great, offensive tackle's appealing because their offensive line is not that great. But Bosa was such a great pick at the time, and he remains a great pick. We're going to stick with that. But you know me, I'm not one to get running backs early because I think there's better value elsewhere. Let's be honest. How many championships has Zeke brought to Dallas? Looks like Tony Pollard is just fine, and now they're stuck in this ugly contract Zeke has. I'm just saying. So we went Jalen Ramsey. Now, also Tyreek Hill was kind of tempting here, but their receiving core was good enough. Their defense, though, was exceptionally bad. They were 31st in sacks, but Bosa went off the board. Also, they couldn't cover. If I really did want to go edge, I think Yannick Ngakoue was probably the next best edge rusher here. Matt Judon, I don't think is worth the first rounder. But I just went with the best secondary player, and Jalen Ramsey is one of the better corners in the league today. So on to Jacksonville. Let's just go ahead and ditch the Blake Bortles experiment. Let's save him some grief. Let's get Carson Wentz. Now, I know ever since I think it was the ACL tear, he hasn't really been the same quarterback. He's been barely a top 15. Especially this year, he was one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. But maybe in a different scenario, in a different universe, he does become the franchise quarterback for the Jaguars. You never know, man. His 2021 might be pretty fire for the Eagles. And then the Baltimore Ravens, we're going Ronnie Stanley. Tackle was a big need for the Ravens. And honestly, this was a great pick then, and it's a great pick now. He's one of the best left tackles in all of football. Tyreek Hill going to the San Francisco 49ers. I always forget that he's in this draft. It's wild. Now, Kaepernick, he ends up not being on the roster before the season. But as of going into the draft, he's still there. They have Barkley and Blaine Gabbert as well to start. So I mean, I would have loved to go quarterback, but that just wasn't an option. And I mean, we could go Joe Thuney, but I think that's a little early for offensive interior. I think the best thing you can do if you can't really get protection for your quarterback is to get them a great wide receiver, and Tyreek Hill is a great wide receiver. And then also Cleveland Browns, we go Chris Jones, no quarterback available, kind of sucks. But the Browns, they currently run a 3-4, and they eventually go to the 4-3. And Jones, he's versatile to play in both. He's one of the best pass rush and interior players in the league, not named Aaron Donald. And again, it's unfortunate that there's no quarterback here, but it is what it is. And I actually think the Titans actually traded up to this pick to get Jake Conklin. So fun fact. Then we're gonna do the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and actually the Bears and the Buccaneers end up swapping picks here. Yeah, man, it gets crazy. I like there starts to be a lot of trades in the first round after this eighth pick, excuse me, after Cleveland. But Tampa Bay, I'm sticking with them here. We're gonna go Justin Simmons, safety out of Boston College, dude. Their secondary is abysmal. Simmons is one of, if not the best safety currently in the NFL, at least over the last 2 seasons. He would be an immediate improvement over Chris Conte. And then the New York Giants, I thought about linebacker here, and I even considered Derrick Henry. I kind of dabbled, but the offensive line honestly needed some improvements. And I know I ended up going with Laramie Tunsil, and he's kind of been up and down, but for the most part, he's been pretty solid. I consider Joe Thuney, but I think grabbing Tunsil, putting him at left, allows you to move Eric Flowers, who was currently the left tackle, move him to left guard, where he's actually seen some success over the last couple of seasons. So, not bad. Thinking outside the box. Derrick Henry going to the Bears. This feels a bit crazy because I talked about how I don't think there's real value in drafting running backs in the first round, but it's Derrick Henry, man. The dude is a monster, even behind a bad line, because the Bears could honestly use some offensive line help, even some receiver help, because Alshon Jeffrey wasn't long for the world, long for this roster. Neither Jay Cutler, not soon, was gone pretty soon after as well. But let's grab him some backs, because going in 2016, they had Jeremy Langford and Kadeem Carey. And actually in this draft, they get Jordan Howard, who, after 3 seasons is gone. So, but Derrick Henry's a monster, dude. You'd be able to make that bad O-line look good. And then Michael Thomas going to the Saints. I mean, the Saints, defense sucks at this point. It looks really bad. The linebackers are bad. The secondary is bad. Unfortunately, I couldn't address really any of those picks knowing how good Michael Thomas has been for the Saints. So we stick with that pick here. We go with the Saints. On to pick 13, my Miami Dolphins, baby. We're going to stick with Xavier Howard. He's had some ups and downs with the Dolphins, but I mean, he was one of the best zone corners in 2018. And in 2020, he looks like one of the most complete corners in all of football. The Dolphins, they invested a lot on the defensive line with Cameron Wake, Super Mario Williams there, Sue. So let's go ahead, address corner. It's probably the most valuable position on defense. It's the most volatile. So getting that position right is very key. The Oakland, that's right, we're in Oakland. The Raiders, they go DeForest Buckner out of Oregon. I mean, can you imagine this defense with Khalil Mack and DeForest Buckner on the same line? Because looking at their looking at this defense, they really only had Khalil Mack. But I think Buckner's great value here. He has 44 sacks over the last 5 seasons from the interior. And just with Mack, I think that would just be nuts. Tennessee Titans, we're going with Yannick Ngakoue out of Maryland. Conklin was a fine pick, and they traded up to 8 for him. But the Titans, they ended up trading for Dennis Kelly right before the 2016 season. And Dennis Kelly has actually been one of a pretty solid right tackle, whether it was in relief when there was injury or even this season. He's been pretty solid. So I feel like we can go elsewhere, and or at least I feel the luxury we can go elsewhere. And they really, really needed some pass rush help. Their only viable pass rusher was Brian Orakpo, who was actually in his final seasons. I think his last season ended up being 2017. So pair Yannick with Orakpo. That would be a great start, a great eventual heir to the pass rushing throne here. Kevin Byard, I kind of thought about as well, but I don't know. I think he's more late first. I'd kind of want to trade down, and I'm not going to screw myself by doing a redraft with trades. That would be really rough. So the Detroit Lions, they end up getting Jack Conklin out of Michigan State. They needed some offensive line help. Conklin, he's been one of the best right tackles in football, especially this season. The Atlanta Falcons. I love Darian Jones. I love coverage linebackers in general. And Jones, he won't make it to the second round. So if you're the Falcons, you pick him now. He's been great for the Falcons. Again, one of the most underrated linebackers in this league. Top linebacker on my board. Myles Garrett was close, but I think Jones, he's been more consistent. And then we're going to go with Joe Thuney to the Colts. Taylor Decker was also tempting here, but Thuney, he's just on another level on the inside. And honestly, maybe he helps save Andrew Luck's career. Maybe. Miles Jack going to the Bills. I said Jones and Jack, they were pretty close in my rankings here. He did have a bit of a down year in 2019. That was kind of the whole, we're going to have to just reassemble this whole team. So they started moving pieces everywhere. But he's been pretty consistent. He plays with a lot of speed. I don't know if this pick will actually save Rex Ryan's job there in Buffalo. I highly doubt it. But this defense had essentially no one at linebacker. So Miles Jack, good addition. The New York Jets, they go Taylor Decker. Another team I would have loved to go quarterback. They do have Ryan Fitzmagic himself there at quarterback, though. But we end up opting to go tackle Ryan Clady. He's really the only viable tackle on this roster, and he ends up retiring after the 2016 season, I believe, because of injuries. Decker, he's pretty underrated. He's been pretty great for the Lions, so we're going to go with him there. The Washington football team, they weren't football team at the time, but they're football team now. We're going Ezekiel Elliott because, holy crap, I wanted to go Kenny Clark here, but man, the idea of just snagging Zeke away from the Cowboys, and honestly, this is a nice thing. They're saving the Cowboys money on that ludicrous contract they gave Zeke, but also looking at what they had on the roster, running back Matt Jones, Chris Thompson's been solid, but he's more of a passing back, change of pace back. They ended up signing Rob Kelly out of this draft. I mean, Zeke is simply better, and he honestly, he would make life a lot easier for Cousins, much like Dalvin Cook does. So there we go. The Houston Texans, they'll take Kenny Clark here. Brock Savage. I mean, dude, there was a lot of teams that needed cornerbacks. This team had Brock Osweiler. They had Tom Savage and Brandon Weeden. That sucks. There's no one on the outside, like a receiver outside of D-Hop. So, but the next receiver on my board is Will Fuller. You can make an argument for Robbie Anderson, but I have Will Fuller a little higher. And I was like, I don't know if I make the same pick. So let's go with Clark. I think he's a better option, just a better choice in general. Vince Wilfork soon retires. So Kenny Clark, he's been a monster. He's actually been one of the most double-teamed defensive interior linemen in the last 2 seasons. So dude's mighty good. Minnesota Vikings, we go with Hunter Henry. They went with Laquan Treadwell, who I actually really liked going into this draft. Gosh, he just ended up sucking. But Hunter Henry here, because in the 2016 season, Adam Thielen kind of emerges as one of the top receivers there. There's no real first-round tackles left here. the defense was already pretty strong with a lot of future pieces. Like they had Anthony Harris, they had Rhodes, they had a lot of good young pieces. Danielle Hunter wasn't even starting going into the season. Like, so it was pretty dope. And let's go ahead. Let's get Hunter Henry to pair up with Kyle Rudolph. Hunter Henry could even move into the slot at times. He's a very good tight end. Well worth the pick here. And then I have Will Fuller going to the Cincinnati Bengals. You could make an argument for Robbie Anderson. I had Fuller edging him out, but I know Robbie Anderson has been good, really good this season. But Fuller has had his moments, just kind of struggled with injury. They really only had AJ Green here, so bringing Fuller to be opposite a Green is just exceptionally scary. And on to the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're on Kevin Byard. This man ended up falling to like the 4th, 5th round, something like that, right? Like it, just wild. It's just wild to think that Middle Tennessee State, they pumped out a couple of solid secondary players, but Seattle, their secondary was atrocious. It was terrible. It was horrible. It was vomit inducing. It was bad. So I'm taking the best player to be in the back end, and that's Byard, man. He's been a Pro Bowl caliber safety since really emerging in 2017, where he had a league high 8 interceptions. So we're gonna go with him there. The Seattle Seahawks. We're going with James Bradberry. He's actually been pretty solid. So the Legion of Boom right now, they just traded away Byron Maxwell to the Dolphins, and while they have Jeremy Lane, he's kind of okay to be the starter across from Richard Sherman. Bradberry is just much better. He's been very consistent in his first 4 seasons, and then he really took the next leap under Joe Judge. He fits very well with what Seattle likes at corner. So, and honestly, you can make an argument that Bradberry deserves to go much higher on this redraft, but it is what it is. This is what happened. Javon Hargrave going to the Packers. I was kind of thinking potentially maybe William Jackson here as well, but maybe one of the other linebackers, because we got Jalen Smith, we got Corey Littleton. You can even say Joe Schubert as well. But the Packers, they're good enough. They got a decent rotation there at corner during this time. So I'm going with one of the best pure nose tackles currently in the league. This would really help a Midland run defense that the Packers had at the time, which crazy how they still have that. So we went with that there. Jalen Smith going to the Chiefs. He ends up, we all know he sits the 2016 season rehabbing. He didn't necessarily look great this season in 2020, but from 2017 to 2019, he was very, very good. KC, they're still trying to find someone to be consistent in the middle of that defense. So let's just get it here with Smith. And then pick 29, the New England Patriots, they forfeited. Deflategate, baby. They forfeited this pick. You think I'm going to pick for them? Heck nah, dude. They cheated. They ain't getting a pick. Oh, fins up, baby. Arizona Cardinals go William Jackson, the quarterback out of Houston. It really feels like it's been forever for the Cardinals, just looking for someone to put opposite on the other side of Patrick Peterson. And now Patrick Peterson's kind of at that age where he's starting to decline. He's not nearly as elite as he used to be. Jackson, he's got the size, he's got the speed, and he's done quite well for himself in Cincinnati. DJ Reader going to the Panthers. Kwame Short and Starr, I'm not going to butcher your last name. They're in the last years of their contract. They end up extending Kwame Short, but they grab Reader. They end up in real life grabbing Vernon Butler, who never really emerged or anything, and now I think he's like stuck on the depth chart with the Bills, possibly. I can't remember. But Reader, he's been a very consistent nose tackle for the Texans. Again, better option than Butler. We grab Reader here. And honestly, there was a lot of good defensive interior players in this class. Like you could even say David Onyemata, the Saints tackle. He's been very good this year, but he was seen as a developmental prospect going into this draft. And now he's over the last 2 seasons. He's developed quite nicely. Denver Broncos go Keanu Neal out of Florida. Corey Littleton, he was in consideration, but I really like Neal. When healthy, he's one of the better box safeties, better safeties in general in football. TJ Ward, he isn't the starter there long in Denver. Like I said, Neal, he's pretty darn good. But yeah, that's it for the video. Let me know who I maybe forgot or what you would have done different in the comment section below. But as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.